Do you know what I really enjoy about Valentina Shevchenko's title reign? She's coming in there each and every time looking to make a statement about her prowess. And I know Lauren Murphy really didn't have much for her in the UFC 266 co-main event, just like most of the contenders to her belt in recent times. Contenders that might have a moment or two, steal around here or there maybe. But I just love how she's continuing to improve, becoming more confident in her ability to put a pace on these challengers. I do think that there were some early signs that perhaps Shevchenko's title reign would be a bit more slow-paced, a reign that would see her content to assert her superiority and ride that wave out to a clear victory. But no, with 3 finishes in her last 4 fights, the bullet is going in there time and time again, making statements, utilizing her entire arsenal to confuse her opponents, often freezing them up through the sheer diversity of her skill set. She stabs with kicks at range, counters flawlessly on the inside with her boxing, and is liable to attempt and usually succeed at a takedown or 2 per round. She's the full package, and by the looks of things, she is both still improving and very determined to showcase those improvements with each passing fight. I remember when she took on Juliana Pena back in 2017, while on the fringes of the bantamweight title picture. And at the time, she was fresh off of a victory over Holly Holm, one that had her reputation established as an elite striker within the 135-pound mix. Pena, on the other hand, was the grappler, the submission threat, an Ultimate Fighter veteran who was expected to serve as the stylistic opposite to what we assumed would be a straightforward striker versus grappler bout. And for the opening round, you'd think that was the case, although Shevchenko's takedowns were always a threat. But in that second round, just as Pena believed herself to have made a breakthrough by securing the takedown, Shevchenko latched onto a beautifully timed armbar, forcing the tap and shocking the world by making it clear that she was no one-trick pony. And for me personally, that was the first hint that we were looking at a real future great. Just the sheer audacity of it all. I love that stuff. And it might not sound overly significant, but as I sat there with the narrative that I had in mind completely in tatters, Shevchenko, in what was a title eliminator bout, confirmed to the world that she had a very interesting new dynamic to her game. And of course, with the pair of times that she has faced Amanda Nunes up until this point, she has fallen by the most minute of margins. But when you look at the Lioness's knack for running through her opponents in brutal fashion, the respect she has for Shevchenko's overall game is pretty clear. And after watching Valentina dominate Lauren Murphy on Saturday night, brushing her aside like she wasn't even there, I think it is pretty obvious what she needs to do next. And I do know that the 125-pound division is a young one, and I believe that it needs time to grow and blossom, potentially without the presence of a champion who is just so much better than her peers. Look at 115 pounds. That division is now one of the most compelling in the UFC, full stop, an evenly matched set of fighters who have passed the title around at a fairly non-stop rate, ever since Joanna Jędrzejczyk's original period of dominance. And I think that if there could be a parallel drawn between the two, it seems as though the flyweights are kind of at that point the strawweights were when Joanna was ruling it in such dominant fashion. On a side note, if you're enjoying this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all of our latest uploads, before leaving a comment to let YouTube's algorithms know that we are fast becoming one of the best MMA channels on the platform. Now, I wouldn't have a problem with Valentina sticking around for a few, or even many more defenses of her title. That's her right. But with Amanda Nunes' days in the sport seemingly numbered, if Shevchenko does want to try her hand at 2-weight world champion status, and do it in a fashion that is undeniably great, I just don't see a better time than next year in 2022 to finally make that assault. Because as we know, this isn't boxing. We're well used to the notion of the best fighting the best while in their respective primes. And though the UFC and Dana White specifically have voiced their approval of this matchup, I just hope that politics or timing doesn't mess with this dream fight. The 2 fights that we've already gotten between this pair were so razor close, and in the 3 or 4 years since they last fought, they've both improved so much, to such an extent that there is little doubt in my mind that we're looking at the 2 greatest female fighters of all time, both in terms of technical prowess and overall skill set, as well as legacy and high-level accomplishments. It's not often you find a situation like this, a battle for undisputed GOAT status, a trilogy bout that, while not a rubber match, still holds the same weight as if it were 1-1. There is certainly unresolved tension between these 2 fighters, and it's certainly a fight for the history books, a fight that the sport needs. Because right now, we're waiting on the next wave of talent to emerge at both 125 and 135 pounds, as well as featherweight, I suppose. And I do have no doubt that both of those divisions will eventually flourish, although there is a chance that 145 pounds will be scrapped altogether, unfortunately. But for now, there is no doubt over the gap that exists between these 2 champions and their contenders. And I just don't want to see this end up as an opportunity lost, when in reality, this is one of the best fights you can make make in the sport right now. And if we're going to actually talk about how that bout may play out, the size disparity may drag the technical difference between the two onto a more even level. Because while Shevchenko is the more polished and versatile of the two, Nunes, while also both of those things, is an absolute battering ram in there, more than capable of finishing anyone across the two divisions that she rules. So if they do meet at 135 pounds, I would have to sit down and really watch some tape. And even then, it would probably boil down to some guesswork. These are two future Hall of Famers, folks, and I just really want to see them settle their differences before it's too late, I suppose. But what did you make of this latest display of dominance from the queen of the flyweights? And do you think it's time for Valentina to make her ascent to the bantamweight division once again to challenge its champion? Do let us know your opinions in the comment section below. We always love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and a comment before subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. Thank you for watching.